friends, and today I'm going to walk you through a basic installation of FreeFit luxury vinyl tile floor. Now, FreeFit is the premium quality in LVT, and LVT is what we call luxury vinyl tile, and it's a looselay product. Now, what looselay means is that we don't need to install it with adhesive. So here is a FreeFit plank, and if you have a look at it, on the back you have these unique patented suction cups, and that holds it in on the floor. Today the people have chosen fumed ash, and we're installing it in a recreation area, approximately 42 square metres, around 400 square feet. So what we're looking at here first of all is that we get the product delivered, and it was left to acclimatise just so it gets into the same temperature as the room is the setting that we're installing it. Now, you know that you've got FreeFit when the product says FreeFit. If it doesn't say FreeFit, it's not FreeFit. So just to walk you through it, the first things that we do is that we make sure the floor is clean, swept, free of all dust. We scrape the floor of any imperfections, and we may even, on a concrete floor like this, mop it over with a damp mop. The whole idea of it is totally free of dust so that the suction caps can do their job. Before this, we would have had a look and to see whether there are any moisture issues or whether the floor was level. If there are moisture issues, if you can see that there is rising down, then that needs to be treated, it has to be sealed. And if it's not level again, you'd have to level the floor through. The thing is with FreeFit, it's quite forgiving, and so in a normal installation you can put it down and the little variations are fine. So what we've done is that we've swept the floor and we're ready to install the product. Now what we have here, the tools that you basically need is a Stanley knife or a lino knife, it's the same thing, a tape, a pencil, and we're going to demonstrate using gecko tape, which is a double-sided tape. It makes it a little bit easier to lock it in. The whole process of the FreeFit looselay vinyl floor is that it's locked in tight, and that's the secret of holding it all in together. What you see here with the fumed ash is that you've got a beautiful variation in the floor. What FreeFit does is that there's a variation of 1 in 10, which is really a big variation in this type of product. It shows the true colours of the floor. And to even accentuate that, what we're doing is that we're drawing from 3 packs as we go. So, we open up 3 packs and we pull out each tile, we have a look at it. If we like the way that it looks, we put it straight into the floor, and if we don't, we can turn it around. So, the first thing to remember is safety, and when you're installing a floor, you've got to imagine that the floor is actually a workbench, and so you might be using a Stanley knife and put the Stanley knife beside you. You've got to be very careful. The thing is that this is not the place to have kids while you're working. They're so quick they could quite easily grab the knife while you're not looking. So what we do first of all is we have a look and we say what direction we're going to install the planks in. Generally, the rule of thumb is that you run the planks towards the main light source, so that way the light is falling the same length as what the planks are. In this instance, we're doing it here, and we're again doing it against this longest wall. First thing that we do is we make sure that the wall is square. We can do that in a number of ways. Perhaps the simplest way is to measure back from the wall 2 distances and check that they're the same. We then lay out the gecko tape. The gecko tape can be laid on the perimeter, and also we can lay a run of gecko tape across the width of the room just to make sure that we're holding the planks nice and tight. Gecko tape is a specially formulated double-sided tape for FreeFit looselay planks. It's double-sided tape, so you would lay it down on the floor, and then as you're working you pull back the tape and you lay the FreeFit into the tape. So what we do is first of all we line it up, so we've got the tiles a square, and we cut it our first time. So what we do is we start off with the wall, and we work our way back from that wall until we get to this end here. We cut that plank in, and generally what you'd find is the remaining piece that you cut goes to the other end of the wall, and you start that through again. But the important thing is here, you can get a much better look if you stagger your planks. So if you lay here, and the piece from here goes up that end, what you'll find is that you'll have a 1 and 3 line of the finish of the planks. Now, we want it to look a little bit different from there, so just use a bit of creativity. And if you find that you're getting a systematic pattern of where the planks finish, just cut a plank and start it fresh, and then that will break the line of the plank. So the important thing is that when you start, is that you're running it off the longest wall, and you want to make sure that that wall is square. If you press your planks up to the wall and it's not square, it will look as though the floor has been laying on an angle. Now we don't want that, so we establish the square. We can use that via a string line, or we can just measure it back from the wall to get a straight line. Mark that line and work your tiles back from that. When you're installing the FreeFit, you want the planks pulled in tight to each other, and so we don't want any gaps in between the two beveled edges. More times than not, the planks will fit in there absolutely beautifully. But sometimes you'll find a plank will be a little bit out at one end. And this could be the result of the floor being a little bit uneven, or perhaps the plank has moved. If it's not fitting in snug, pick the plank up and pull it around the other way. More times than not, that will be beautiful and it will fit in exactly the way we want it. If you're still finding it's not exactly how you want it, if there's a little bit gap there, take that plank and put it to one side. You can use it as a finishing piece and bring in another plank. Press it in tight and away you go. To cut it, simply cut your standing knife, your lino knife, using another plank. I'm going to do 2 fine stripes. There's no real pressure on my knife here. Just bend it slightly. You'll notice it's gapped there like so. We bring in the knife and we just cut it from the bottom. Absolutely beautiful product to work with. So what we're going to show you is a very easy way to fill in the gap between your last installed plank and the wall. Now you can't assume that the wall is totally straight. So a good way to do this is to lay your last plank, grab a new plank. The gecko tape, the plastic is still on the top. So you place your plank against the wall, and so that the plank is actually following the line of the wall. You put it up tight against the planks that you've laid, and follow the length of the wall on top of the plank, the last plank installed. Then with your standing knife, what you're going to do is follow the plank that you've just laid as a gommed. You'll extend it a little bit further with a spare piece of FreeFit, and then with the knife just a light scribe. Take the planks away, and this is the actual plank that you'll use. So we bend the plank, we cut it from the back. We lay our original plank down here, and then again with the tape still, the top side of the tape still on, press the plank that we've just cut and check it for tightness. Yeah, it's quite good. What we might do now is just to make sure it's nice and snug, we'll just back cut it here. So what I'm doing is just with my knife, I'm just peeling a little bit, it's called an undercut. Peeling a little bit of it underneath so it fits in tight against the wall. What we'll do is we'll test it again with the tape still on. Fits in quite nicely there. Pull the tape off. Pull the tape like so. Press it in tight. Make sure these parts are nice and tight. Press it in. Beautiful finish following the wall. Alright, now what we're going to demonstrate here is how that we can do our final cut right up against the wall, and how we can use the angle of the wall so that we get our angle of our FreeFit plank perfectly so it fits in snugly. So first thing now, Lewis is going to help me with this. In fact, actually Lewis is going to do it. So first thing that we do is that we grab one of our FreeFit planks, and Lewis, if you can just put that in on top of the back edge of the existing plank that we've installed. And so what's happened here is that Lewis has basically followed the last of the installed planks, basically in a straight line, and then he's leaving the gap here. What we'll use now is that we're going to use a scrap piece of the plank, which is the full width of the FreeFit, and we're going to run that up against the edge of the wall. What you see happening here is that transfers the angle of the wall onto the FreeFit plank. Lewis will then run this down the length of the wall, we'll cut the plank, and this should fit in snugly here. If you'd like to just show us how we do this, Lewis? The piece will transfer nicely into the gap. Lewis is just sliding along, following the wall, a little piece at a time. There's not much pressure on the knife, doesn't need to be. And following through the cut with the knife. Lewis is cutting it from the back. So what we're doing here now is we're just doing a simple back cut. This is the edge that will go up against the wall. By undercutting, it allows it to tuck in nicely. So Lewis has turned it around, and what we have here is the beveled edge, the factory edge, which will go right up against the factory edge of the plank that we've laid. So simply by using a piece of tile as a guide and following the wall, we've been able to fit the last piece of the FreeFit in snugly. The end result of that, apart from the beautiful finish, is that we lock the entire installation in tight. This wall here is locked in up against the opposing wall. So what we're going to demonstrate now is how to successfully cut around a door jamb. A couple of ways to do this. Of course, the easiest way is to just undercut, but to get a beautiful finish, the best thing is that if you can follow the actual door jamb itself. So Lewis will just demonstrate an easy way how we can do this. I've asked Lewis to mark the tile on pencil. It's just a little bit easier to follow on camera, but what a tradesman would normally do is just use his knife. So what we see happening here is that Lewis has put the marking tile up against the door jamb, and he's just marked a pencil mark on the tile that we're going to cut. He then moves it to the other side of the jamb. Again marks it. So what we see happening here is that we'll have a complete transfer of this. Then he moves to the next part of the door jamb and he follows it through. Moving the marking tile slightly, bringing it around to here, and then again making a mark on the tile that we're going to cut. A little bit of a tricky piece here, as you see, we've got a nice little curve. We're going to follow that. How we do that is that we centre the marking tile in the centre of the curve, and it'll give us an incremental transfer across to the tile. Lewis has now just freehanded that with his pencil. Now basically he's joining the dots. So it's worthwhile taking the time, trimming it back a little bit at a time so it fits in snug. Lewis will now press the FreeFit tile in. It's a beautiful finish, and that's a finish we want. We want the look. It looks as though the walls have been installed on the FreeFit floor. So here is the finished product, our absolutely beautiful FreeFit floor. Fume dash looks absolutely beautiful, And just once again, take your time when you're installing it, enjoying what you do, and this is a fabulous outcome. FreeFit vinyl floors.